2 years. Imagine this. You sit in front of your screen every morning, coffee in your hand, market open, you trade, you win some, you lose some, you tweak the strategy, you journal, you refine, day after day, week after week, 2 whole years pass. And yet, the truth? You've been inside a padded room the whole time. No glass breaking, no real blood, no real scars, just practice swings, nothing on the line. Now let me tell you why that's dangerous. Demo accounts give you the illusion of safety. They trick your brain. You start thinking you're a genius. Look, I grew 10K demo into 50K in a year. You walk taller, your chest gets big. You convince yourself that you're ready for the jungle. But here's the catch. It's like shadowboxing. The punches feel clean, the rhythm feels sharp, but the first time you step into the ring and someone smashes you in the mouth, your knees buckle, you freeze, and suddenly all that practice looks like a bad dream. Why? Because there's no weight on your shoulders in demo, no fear of losing real money. And fear, oh, fear is the oxygen of this game. Without fear, you're not trading, you're just pressing buttons. Fear sharpens you. Fear makes your hands shake. Fear tests if you can stick to rules when every nerve in your body screams, exit now, save yourself. Demo never gives you that. Demo makes you think you're calm, but it's fake calm. Real calm only comes when your rent is sitting inside that position, ticking up and down with every candle. And let's be real here. You can demo for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. It doesn't matter. The first time you put your own capital on the line, your body will betray you. Heart races, mouth goes dry, sweat on your palms, every pip feels like a dagger. That's the truth. That's why some traders who master demo blow their live accounts in 3 weeks. Because the game changes the second money is real. Now don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying demo is useless. No, demo has its place. You learn mechanics there. You learn how to use the platform. You learn the buttons, the stops, the limits. You learn not to fat finger your trades. Demo is your driving range. But the highway is live, and the truck swerves at you, not caring about your practice swings. Here's the part no one wants to admit. 2 years of demo isn't preparation, it's hiding. Traders convince themselves, I'll stay on demo until I'm ready. But ready never comes. You'll never be ready. Because readiness isn't built in safety. It's built in fire. And fire doesn't burn in demo. Think of it this way. Would you trust a surgeon who only practiced on dummies for 2 years, never once cutting into a real body? He can tell you about arteries and veins. He can move the scalpel smooth as silk. But once blood gushes and panic rises, he might faint. That's demo traders. Knowledge with no scars, skill with no stakes. So you ask me, 2 years on demo, is it a joke? Yes, it's worse than a joke. It's a trap. It lulls you into false confidence. It blinds you to the brutality of reality. It makes you think you know something, when in fact you've been standing outside the battlefield, polishing your sword, while real soldiers bleed. And when you finally step in, you realize your hands aren't steady. Your armor isn't fitted, and the first blow cuts deeper than you ever imagined. And listen carefully now. If you truly want to trade, stop hiding in demo. Get live as soon as possible, not with big money, not with your whole savings. Start with small size. Feel the real heat. Let your nerves get tested, because the faster you expose yourself to reality, the faster you'll grow. And 2 years on demo, that's just 2 years of delay. 2 years of comfort, 2 years wasted. Let me tell you something nobody will tell you. Demo trading is the safest prison you'll ever live in. You think you're free, you think you're practicing, but you're not trading. You're rehearsing in a padded room with no sharp edges. And here's the truth, safety kills growth. 2 years on demo might sound like discipline. It looks smart on paper. But inside, it's comfort. It's like swinging a sword with no enemy in front of you. No risk of bleeding, no chance of dying, so of course you swing harder, faster, without fear. But when the enemy finally comes, your hands shake, your legs buckle. That sword feels 10 times heavier. See, demo accounts don't test your biology, and real trading is biology. Heart racing, hands sweating, eyes darting at every tick. Your brain doesn't just see numbers. It sees threat. It sees survival. You're not just managing charts. You're managing cortisol and adrenaline. No demo account has ever trained a trader for that. Here's the kicker. I've seen guys who made a killing on demo for years completely fall apart the second they went live. Why? Because the first loss wasn't just numbers. It was their rent money, their food, their kids' tuition. Demo never gave them that punch in the stomach, never made them realize this is survival, not a game. And don't get me wrong, demo has its place. It's a sandbox. You need to learn the buttons, place orders, test strategies, figure out spreads, all that technical junk. But beyond that, staying in demo too long is like rehearsing for a war with wooden swords. You'll get strong arms, but you'll never learn how it feels when steel cuts you. Trading is about scars, small, calculated scars. The earlier you feel them, the earlier you adapt. Waiting 2 years before ever touching real risk is like delaying the pain and then wondering why it hurts so much when it finally comes. You need to taste fire before you can respect it. Here's my brutal advice. If you're serious about trading, use demo just long enough to walk straight. Then step into the arena. Start small, lose small, but make it real. Because those tiny real losses teach you more than 2 years of fake winning. The market doesn't respect your practice time. It only respects the money you put on the line. 2 years on demo might feel like safety, but in reality, it's the slow death of ambition. You know what a demo never gives you? The slap, the hit, that sting in your chest when you watch a trade rip against you, and you realize, that's my money, that's my rent, that's my mistake. Demo won't touch your skin like that. It won't make your palms sweat or your throat dry, because no matter how many zeros you type in that fake balance, you know deep inside it isn't real. And because it isn't real, you'll never feel the weight of losing. And without weight, you'll never build strength. I've seen traders blow up, not once, not twice, dozens of times. Men with fancy educations, women who passed every backtest with flying colors, kids who could code indicators like magic. But when the market pushed back for the first time with their real cash on the line, they froze, they begged, they clicked twice, they added more, then they broke. Demo trains your eyes. Real money trains your heart. And if your heart isn't ready, this game eats you alive. You want to know what separates the ones who survive from the ones who disappear. It's not strategy, not even discipline on a screen. It's the ability to face loss without letting it define you. To take the hit, breathe, and come back tomorrow without doubling down like a drunk gambler. That skill only comes when your skin is in the fire. Here's the truth. No one tells you. Your first $1,000 loss teaches you more about trading than 2 years of demo ever will. That pain becomes your teacher. It carves memory into your bones. You never forget the night you couldn't sleep because of one stupid oversized lot. You never forget staring at the ceiling, wondering why you broke your rules for the 3rd time. And you'll never forget the sick relief when you finally learned to stop. That's the tuition fee of trading. Demo skips the tuition. And anyone who skips tuition stays ignorant. I've met traders who call themselves masters of demo. They build castles in that fake land, but you drop them in the real market with just $500 of their own sweat-earned money, and they break apart like glass. That's when you realize demo is not preparation, it's rehearsal. Real trading, that's the battlefield. The scars you carry from real losses, they turn you from a hobbyist into a businessman. So if you think 2 years on demo is enough, let me ask you this. How many scars has it left on you? None. And without scars, you're not a trader. You're still in practice. You think 2 years of demo trading gives you control? Let me tell you something ugly. It doesn't. Because in real markets, time itself turns into a predator, and no demo will prepare you for how that predator hunts. In demo, you press buy or sell, and what happens? You wait, you watch, you click close. Simple. You think you're training discipline, but in real trading, every tick feels like it's chewing seconds off your life. It's not just numbers moving, it's your rent money, your savings, your pride. You stare at the chart, and suddenly a 5-minute candle feels like a 2-hour interrogation. That pressure doesn't exist in demo. Here's the truth. Demo accounts are quiet classrooms. Real accounts are war zones. In a classroom, mistakes are corrected with erasers. In a war zone, mistakes cost limbs. So when someone tells me they've been in demo for 2 years, I ask them this: did you ever feel your chest lock up because you were down half your paycheck? Did you ever taste that iron bitterness in your mouth when a trade slipped against you by 1 tick? Did you ever hate yourself enough to punch the table and still press close? No? Then what exactly did you train? You see, real trading doesn't just test your strategy, it tests your biology. Sweat dripping down your back, your heartbeat skipping because you're over-leveraged, your hands shaking so much you misclick the order size. These aren't small problems. These are the cracks that break traders, not charts. Demo never forces you to confront them. Let me give you an image. A soldier can practice target shooting for years. He can hit the bullseye every time on the training ground. But when he's out there, in the mud, with bullets flying past his ear and his buddy screaming for cover, suddenly that clean bullseye means nothing. His finger slips, his eyes blur, his breathing collapses. Trading is the same. In demo, you aim at paper targets. In real, you face live fire. And don't fool yourself with "I'll trade demo until I'm perfect." Perfection doesn't exist. Markets are messy, brutal, and unpredictable. What you need is not perfection. You need scar tissue. You need to feel what it's like to bleed in small amounts, so you don't lose it all later. You need those early, painful lessons where $100 lost feels like $10,000, because that pain is what teaches restraint. So when someone tells me they've spent 2 years on demo, I don't laugh. I just shake my head, because they think they've prepared for war, but they've only memorized drills. They've polished their gun, but never fired it under fire. And when they finally step onto the battlefield, the market will slap them awake in 1 second flat. Let me tell you something that stings, but it's real. Most traders don't fail because they can't read a chart. They fail because they treat the market like a game, not a business. And that difference decides everything. You see, in a business, you don't expect every product launch to succeed. You don't expect every investment to double. You expect losses. You plan for them. You budget for them. You factor them into the cost of doing business. But traders, they panic when one trade goes red. They lose their head. They throw the plan out the window and start chasing like a gambler at the roulette wheel. That's not trading. That's self-destruction. A real trader, he acts like a businessman. He knows every trade is just an expense in the bigger machine. A stop loss is like paying rent. You don't cry about rent. You pay it and move on. But amateurs cry about every loss, take it personal, and forget the bigger picture. Here's the truth nobody tells you. Profit in trading doesn't come from avoiding losses. It comes from managing them so small that the winners completely crush them over time. Think about it. If you're losing $1 but making $3, you can be wrong more than half the time and still walk away rich. But most of you are the opposite. You risk $5 to make $1, and then you wonder why you can't breathe after 10 trades. The difference is mindset. businessman mindset versus hobbyist mindset. If you keep treating the market like some side hustle lottery ticket, you'll never survive. You'll bleed out. But if you treat it like a real business, you'll last decades. And in this game, survival is the only thing that matters. The longer you survive, the more opportunities you catch. The more opportunities you catch, the bigger the edge compounds. You know what most traders never talk about? The cost of thinking you need to win every single trade. That's the silent killer. That's the poison. When I started, I thought the same. Every chart felt like a test of my intelligence, my discipline, my worth. I needed to be right. Always right. I told myself, if I'm wrong, I must not understand the market. That belief destroyed me. Because here's the ugly truth. You don't need to win every trade. In fact, you can lose more trades than you win and still end the month profitable. You know why? Because it's not about your win rate. It's about how much you make when you're right and how much you lose when you're wrong. I've seen kids chase 90% win rates and blow up in a single afternoon. They'll brag about 10 wins in a row and then give it all back on the 11th. That's not trading. That's gambling with pride. Real trading is boring compared to that. It's about accepting that half the time, maybe more, the market is going to slap you. You'll be wrong, and that's fine. As long as when you're right, you collect more than you give away when you're wrong. That's where edge lives. Not in being perfect, but in letting probability stack in your favor. I'll tell you this, the day I stopped caring about win rate was the day I started keeping money. I began thinking in terms of risk to reward. If I risk $1 and every time I'm right I make $3, I don't need to win often. I can be wrong 6 times out of 10 and still walk away richer. This is where most traders fail. They think every red candle means they failed. No, failure is not losing trades. Failure is not knowing why you lost or not managing your risk so that loss becomes catastrophic. Let me be blunt, the market doesn't pay you for being right. It pays you for managing your losses. And if you can't stomach being wrong, this game will chew you up and spit you out. The funny part, once you truly accept losing as part of the game, the stress goes away. You stop chasing perfection. You stop overtrading. You start thinking like a businessman. Small costs, bigger returns. That's the formula. Always has been. So next time you sit in front of that chart, ask yourself, not will I win this trade, but is this risk worth the potential reward? That one shift can save you years of pain. Let's talk about a dirty little secret in trading nobody wants to admit. Most traders don't lose because they're bad at reading charts. They lose because they don't know how to stop pressing the damn button. Overtrading, revenge trading, chasing moves that are already gone. It's not lack of knowledge, it's lack of restraint. You see, every setup you take has a hidden cost, not just the spread or the commission. The cost is your mental bandwidth. If you trade every little wiggle on the screen, by the time the real move comes, you're already drained, frustrated, and doubtful. You won't pull the trigger when it matters, because you already wasted yourself on junk trades. Professional trading is less about finding opportunities and more about filtering them. The amateurs think more trades equals more chances to win. Wrong. More trades equals more exposure to randomness. A casino doesn't bet on every spin of the roulette wheel. It sets its rules, sticks to them, and lets probability do the heavy lifting. Traders who don't understand this bleed out slowly, one unnecessary trade at a time. I've watched guys blow entire accounts, not because their strategy was broken, but because they couldn't sit on their hands. The market tempts you like a siren, whispering, "Take this trade, just one more. Maybe this one will be the big one." That voice ruins traders more than bad analysis ever could. Here's the truth. If you take fewer, better trades, your results skyrocket, not because the market rewards patience, but because your patience removes stupidity from the equation. You don't get chopped up in noise. You don't hand your broker free fees. You don't mentally burn out by lunch. Think of trading like hunting. You don't fire at every rustle in the bushes. You wait until you're certain it's worth the bullet. That's how you survive long enough to take the high-quality shot. So the question isn't what strategy should I use? The question is, do I have the discipline to let 20 setups pass me by, waiting for the one that actually matters? That one decision alone separates the trader who lasts a career from the trader who lasts 6 months. I'll tell you something. Most traders never even think about. The market isn't built for you to win. It's built for you to stay. That's the truth nobody likes to hear. Brokers, platforms, even the community, they don't need you profitable. They just need you active. Why do you think there's always some new strategy popping up every few months? EMA crossover, harmonic patterns, supply-demand zones, now AI bots. It never ends. The system thrives on you searching for the next fix. Here's the twist. Consistency doesn't come from finding the newest tool. It comes from building immunity to this noise. You have to learn to ignore 90% of what's being thrown at you. That's not easy. It's like walking through a casino and not hearing the slot machines. You can't win if you're chasing every light that flashes. The players who last, the ones you never hear about, they don't chase. They pick one framework, doesn't matter which one, and refine it until they see the flaws, and then they adapt. That's the difference between pros and gamblers. A gambler wants the next hot trick. A pro wants to find out where his own edge bends, but doesn't break. You think markets punish bad entries? Wrong. Markets punish distraction. You lose because you split your focus between 12 methods, 5 indicators, 3 mentors on YouTube. And when it fails, you blame the tool instead of your lack of focus. That cycle is why most never break free. Listen carefully. Trading is not about stacking more information. It's about subtracting, removing noise until all you see is price and how it moves. That's your filter against manipulation. Brokers can't trap you if you stop playing their little games. Gurus can't sell you another dream if you stop buying into the illusion that you need more to win. Let me give it to you straight. Most traders don't fail because of charts or entries. They fail because they've never built trading endurance. Yeah, endurance. You think trading is about finding the perfect system. Wrong. It's about lasting long enough in the game to let probabilities pay you. Here's the raw truth. Your system doesn't even need to be perfect. It just needs to give you an edge. But if you can't survive 100 trades without blowing your account, then that edge never gets the chance to work. That's why endurance is the missing piece. I've seen guys take a few losses, and they're done, emotionally cooked, account gone. But the pros, they build endurance like athletes. Think about a boxer. He doesn't just train for one punch. He trains for 12 rounds, non-stop. Body shots, uppercuts, the whole thing. He knows he won't win if he gasses out by round 3. Trading's no different. Endurance in trading comes from 3 things. 1. Capital preservation. Don't risk so much on one trade that you burn yourself out. Survive the storm. 2. Emotional tolerance. Your heart can't start racing every time a candle moves against you. Control your breathing, control your seat, control your mind. 3. Long-term focus. You're not here to win this trade. You're here to win the next one. 1,000. One loss means nothing when you've got 1,000 bullets left. Now listen closely. Endurance doesn't mean you take every punch. It means you choose when to fight. A good boxer doesn't swing wild every second. He conserves energy, waits for the opening, then strikes. Same with trading. Endurance is knowing when to sit out. Here's what nobody tells you. The market is a war of attrition. The brokers, the algorithms, the noise, they all want you to burn out fast. Blow your account in 6 months, then reload and repeat. The entire system is built to test your endurance. If you don't understand that, you'll always be on the losing side. You want to know the truth. The most successful traders I've met weren't the smartest. They weren't even the fastest learners. They were the ones who lasted, the ones who could take hit after hit, year after year without quitting. That's endurance. And without it, your so-called strategy is just a lottery ticket. So let me leave you with this. Stop trying to be a sprinter in a marathon game. Build your endurance. Lower your risk. Train your emotions. Play for the next 1,000 trades, not the next one. Because in trading, survival isn't part of the game. It is the game. You know what keeps traders stuck? Not losses, not fear, not even bad analysis. It's this obsession with finding the one magic system. They jump like addicts from EMA crossovers to harmonic patterns to some secret institutional order block course. Every month, it's a new religion. Let me tell you the truth. No guru will whisper. There is no final system. There is no holy grail. There is only adaptation. Markets breathe. They shift. They trick you. What worked last year may bleed you dry this year. If you can't shift gears, you're done. I've seen grown men cry over the fact that their perfect back-tested strategy stopped working after 6 months. Of course, it stopped working. That's the market's job. It hunts static minds. It punishes rigidity. Think of it like fishing in a moving river. You can't stand in one spot with one bait and think the river will wait for you. The water keeps moving. The fish keep moving. You better move too. Here's the sharp edge. Adaptation isn't about randomness. It's about principles. You don't chase new tools every week. You understand why markets behave the way they do. Liquidity, volatility cycles, human emotion, those don't disappear. They're constants, but the expressions of those constants, they mutate. So the professional doesn't ask what system works forever. He asks, what system works now? That's the difference. That's why one guy survives 20 years while another blows up after 2. One evolves. The other worships a fixed chart pattern. If you want to last in this game, burn this into your mind. Your edge is not the system. Your edge is your ability to adapt your system to the current climate. You're not a prophet. You're a trader, and traders survive by bending, not breaking. That's why I've lasted 4 decades. Not because I'm the smartest, not because I discovered a secret formula, but because I was flexible enough to drop what stopped working and rebuild without ego. You want real consistency? Forget worshipping setups. Build yourself into someone who can adapt setups. That's the only edge that doesn't expire.